welcome to Cheese in Depth. I'm Michael Landis, and today's webinar is sponsored by the Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin. With over 1,200 licensed cheesemakers and the only state that requires a license to make cheese, they are also the only place outside of Europe with a master cheesemakers program. Today, I'm talking with Mary Lindemann with the Pine River, and she is the marketing director. Mary Lindemann has been the marketing director for Pine River Prepack Incorporated since 1980. Throughout her 40 years at the company, she's contributed to every part of the family-run business, from working in production to leading the sales and marketing team. Mary and her husband, CEO Phil Lindemann, exhibit at 9 national trade shows each year and many local community events, spreading the word on the award-winning gourmet cheese spreads. When she's not at Pine River, you'll find Mary donning a hat and shopping at a local thrift store, making her own Pine River logo jewelry, working in her beautiful gardens, or spending time with her 4 children. Mary, welcome to the webinar.
Hi, Michael. How are you today?
I'm doing good today.
Good. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about our award-winning cheese spreads. And just to let people know what cheese spread is all about, that it's not just for crackers and it's not just for the holidays. My start in the Pine River world is kind of a cheesy love story. 1979, I attended a tech school to go for fashion merchandising. I liked clothes and I liked design and all that kind of stuff. But about mid-semester, I didn't really like the program. It wasn't really what I thought it was going to be. And I had met another girl there and she felt kind of the same way. And she said, you know, I'm going to leave that semester. And I said, I think I am too. So that was the plan. But she said, you know what? We're college kids. We should still go on spring break. And I'm like, you're right. So she set us up for in March that we were going to take a trip to the Bahamas. And it was one of those where the whole plane goes to a hotel and you spend a week. Fun, sun, and rum. You know, that's all I was looking for. Well, on the plane, on the way there was a ruckusy group and kind of loud and talking and being silly. And they were kind of chanting this, Lindemann's the name and cheese is the game. And I'm just like, what is going on? And there was a guy sitting right behind me. And I looked through the crack of the airplane seat and I looked at this young guy and I thought, I could live with him. Weird, right? Well, we get off the plane and he meets up with the rest of his Lindemann crew and they're talking and being silly. And he says to one of his cousins, I'm going to marry that girl. So there we are, March 1980 and 1981. I'm married and I'm the marketing director and I'm part of Pine River and it's been an awesome ride ever since. I do a lot of things at Pine River over the years. Like you had said, I've worked on the line. I've had to pick up parts that a machine is down and they need it in an emergency. Also doing just, pick up cleaning supplies. But more recently, it has been the trade shows and exhibiting and putting on displays, even for local Rotary Club, Chamber of Commerce and such. But my main thing I love to do is to show you that cheese spread is not just for crackers. We say spread beyond the cracker. And Michael and I are going to talk about that a little bit later. So, and that's the most fun about that. Well, there's our factory, and that is with our most recent warehouse added on to that far upper left-hand corner. And that is just for aging and storing 40-pound blocks of grade A cheddar that we take in and we age to make the spread. So we'll talk about that even a little farther in. Pine River is family owned and operated, although we do have some new partners that make up the Pine River team. It's a young group and a lot of them have worked with us for over 10 years. We'll see more of that too. Yep, located in Newton, Wisconsin. It's right along the lake shore, about an hour and a half north of Milwaukee and a little less than an hour south of Green Bay. It is truly Wisconsin's farmland. My neighbors are cows. There's beautiful rolling lands of cornfields and hay fields. It's really, if you want to say Wisconsin Dairyland, that's right outside of our plant window. Okay, our history. 5 generations of dairy experience. It goes way back. And I'll show you. Okay, the oldest looking guy there is Herman Lindemann, and he immigrated from Prussia. He was a farmer, and he settled right near where Pine River's plant is located now. Then the fellow next to him is his son, Gustav. Now, Gustav also worked on the farm with his dad, Herman, but then he also started making cheese when he was 17 years old. And he was very interested in that, and he pursued an adventure down to UW-Madison. Now, think of the time frame, how long ago that was. But he went down to UW-Madison, he took the short course there, and he studied under Stephen Babcock. And if anybody is familiar with that, that is the fellow that invented the way to test butterfat in milk. And that also, that's what makes better cheese and better butter. So that was kind of cool that he studied with him. So he worked in a cheese factory for over a year, and then he partnered with 2 other men, and they started Northern Wisconsin Produce, which was a like a cold storage, and they sold eggs and butter and cheese. And that was located right along the Manitowoc River in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, which is about 10 minutes away from our plant right now. And they, utilized the river for its ice, and that's how the cold storage was. And that business just closed last year and it was about 110 years old. So next person on our generation would be Oscar, and he was the son of Gustav. So he continued to run Northern Wisconsin Produce, always growing the cold storage business and selling of cheese, marketing cheese wholesale, all different sizes of natural cuts. And he had 2 sons, Oscar Jr. and Phil. And now we're going to call him Phil Sr. because, as Michael said, I'm married to a Phil Lindemann, and I'm married to Phil Jr. So Oscar and Phil also worked at Northern, and then in 1963, Phil Sr., my father-in-law, he started Pine River Prepack. And what that was a cutting and wrapping operation. And just like when you make cutout cookies, you have a shape, so they used to cut out shapes, and there was trim. With cookies, you just roll that trim and make more cookies. But Phil Sr. took that trim and he made cheese spread. So by 1980, that cheese spread was actually growing, the business was growing more than the cutting and wrapping. And that's when they became just a cheese spread maker. But in the meantime, in there, 1977 and 1979, Phil Sr.'s 2 boys came into the business, Phil Jr. and then Bart in 1979. Now, those are the dates they're officially on the payroll, but as you all might know, in a family business, you tend to work from the time you can walk and talk in a family business. And Phil will tell lots of stories that he used to go over to Pine River with his dad on weekends, and his dad would just say, well, we're just gonna check on something, it should take a few minutes, and they'd be there 4 or 5 hours. So I think that's where Phil and Bart both fell in love with Pine River, and it just becomes a part of you. So that is really the history. I mean, it's just a lot of dairy experience. So that is truly out our windows. That's what we see. Got a lot of stainless steel equipment, as all the dairy people know. That's what makes things nice and running nice and clean. That's port wine that we're filling right there. That is our #1 flavor. Out of our 17 flavors, which you can see there. Later today, we're going to be sampling 5 of them, but we have 17. We do a lot of different sizes, bulk sizes for restaurants, and also 2 different retail sizes. We've been really fortunate. Our team is very good, and we've won a lot of awards over the years. That was what he just showed you in that last slide. Let's take a look at how the building has changed. There's when it was a true cheese factory, and they brought milk in that left-hand side there. We still are in that building, but we've just added on and changed a lot, as you saw that overhead shot before. What a cute little building, right? And a family lived above it. Not the Lindemann family, different family. There's 1978. You can see there's just one warehouse there. Gravel driveway. Now we've got some nice blacktop. So always adding on warehouses. It seems like you never have enough space to put cheese and supplies and food safe and quality. Now, Michael, I want to stay on this for a little bit. We are SQF, the highest level that you can be. And we've done that even before COVID-19. We've had great things in place. The only thing we had to add when COVID came along was to put masks on, although some of our employees already wore masks when they dealt with powders and such. But you never have to worry about safe, wholesome, good food coming out of Pine River. We are sticklers about the cleaning and the condition of the equipment and our supplies. So in 2019, that's that newest building. So when we make our cheese spread, it's not like we just take any old age of cheese and just throw it in a grinder and blend it up. There's actually a science to it. We age our cheese to at least 9 months, and then we've got some out at least almost 2 years or more. And we pull various vats and various ages so that the consistency and the smoothness of the cheese is always the same. And you can only get that by blending, because if you have too young of cheese, it's going to be hard and stiff. And if it's too old, it's going to be soupy. So there, you don't want it to fall off your knife. You want to be able to just slide through and be able to spread it beautifully on your cracker or bread or whatever you're eating with the spread. So that is what that new building was storing cheese. Lots of logos, you're always changing, updating, and making yourself current, how you want to present yourself. So the one on the bottom right is what you see around. Okay, so there's how the cheese comes in. We buy 40-pound blocks of grade A cheddar from Wisconsin, and it's made specifically for us. It has the right pH and the right moisture so that it breaks down and ages well for our spreads. And we always like to say, we don't really compare it with a McDonald's hamburger, but if you buy a hamburger at McDonald's today, it's going to taste just like the one you're going to eat next year. And that's what we want with our Pine River cheese spread. You buy a cup today, it's going to taste the same as it would if you buy one next year. We want that flavor and that consistency and smoothness always the same. And that comes from the good cheese. So there, 1983 was our very first award that we won, and that was with our port wine cheese spread, which is still our #1 flavor. And since then, we've entered the World Championship Cheese Contest, the United States Championship Cheese Contest, the World Dairy Expo, American Cheese Society, and also even in a European contest, and we've done so well. But it's teamwork. Everybody works together to make that product as good as it can be. And when we enter the contest, we don't make a special secret, super great batch. No, we go into our coolers and we take just what's in our inventory and we enter that in the contest because we want everybody to enjoy a winning product. So 2020, unfortunately, due to the COVID, a lot of the contests have been canceled, but we did get to enter the World Championship Cheese Contest, and we really scored well this year. Very excited about that. And those are the flavors we're going to be sampling today. So you'll get to talk about the winning flavors, and maybe we can figure out why the judges gave it the points they did. So 17 flavors. Now those are just under our label. My favorite on the list here is the garlic and herb, and that's one that I just love to put on mashed potatoes, baked potatoes, or even on pasta. I've also stirred it into rice. It's great on a wrap sandwich. It's just my favorite. But so like I said, those are our brand. But we also do a number of private label brands, and sometimes those have some different flavors. Now, the slide showing right now is our clean label. We are the first to make a cheddar-based, no preservative cheese spread. And we've been working on that about almost 7 years now. And we feel like it's finally It's what people are looking for, and it is just as delicious as our regular product. And it has a shelf life of 330 days. Our regular product has a shelf life of about 395. So pretty comparable for having no preservative. Those are shelf stable. We have 8 or 7 different flavors in that. And those were developed actually for the fundraising industry, which is another part of our business that we service. We make spreads that can go in those school fundraisers. If you've ever gotten a brochure and you order pizzas and breads and cookie dough, well, we sell cheese spread. But it's also great for gift baskets, and we do a fair amount of that type of business, especially in the fall when people are giving out corporate gifts and such. These are great. They are made, again, just like our regular product, but they are heat injected then, or steam injected, to make them shelf stable. And they have a 600-day shelf life, which is pretty awesome. And again, very tasty. Nice to take on a trip. Spread beyond the cracker. I'll let you read those at your leisure. You can also go on our website and see some of our recipe ideas. But I always would tell people, we make cheese spread out of natural cuts of cheese in a spreadable form. So anywhere you would use natural cheese, and maybe your recipe calls for a sharp cheddar, and then you have to add some milk or some cream. Now you don't have to. Just add the sharp cheddar cheese spread. You're already in that malleable, melting, delicious texture, and makes your recipe just awesome. Just try it. You can convert any recipe that use natural cuts using a cheese spread. So I'll be anxious to hear some of your ideas. We're always looking for that. You can send them to us at any time. We love it. It's fun to share with our employees too. We sometimes make lunch and try out some of the recipes. So
before we started, I did sample out everything and played with them a little bit before we got going.
nice.
So I
Nice.
would have a better idea about what I decided to pair with it on my end, and to make sure that it was all right. And
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to need dinner now. I think I've pretty much consumed about half the containers of these already. They're
Well,
just so
these are
easy to eat.
close to single serve size. We've heard that.
Yes, I can see that. It's
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's very addicting.
Well, you know, when you're working with cheese, if a recipe calls for 8 ounces, you have to get a lot more than that, because you know that when you're making the recipe, you're going to be snacking on the cheese. So if you had 8 ounces, by the time that you get to the recipe, you probably only have 6 or 5. Or with me,
Yeah.
you have about 2 ounces left for the recipe. So you got to get a
I
whole
agree.
new thing. So yeah.
I agree with you on that, Michael. That is so true. One scoop for the cracker, one scoop in the mouth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Great.
All right. So let's, do you have anything else you want to say before we get into the tasting?
I don't think so. I'm going to check my notes over here. No, we talked about all the things that we do, the 3 different types of spreads we make. Well, I guess we could talk about what's the difference actually. So cold pack, the reason this is called cold pack cheese food is it is a standard of identity that the government has set. It has to have 51% cheese and dairy ingredients. And the reason it's called cold pack is it is blended without the aid of heat or any kind of added heat. It's cold. It goes right from the grinder into the cups, into the warehouse. So there's no heat. That's what makes it cold pack. Then the snack spread, like I said, that is heat injected, and that's becomes shelf stable. So that's heated. And then our cold pack cheese food, no preservative, just doesn't have the preservative in it. So 3 kinds of spreads available. All good.
All right. I'm glad that you, mentioned that, because
Yep.
a lot of times we see that label, but it doesn't make much sense that it would be a cold cheese. But
Right.
in reality, that really helps out. So.
Right. Also, one of the things that I always tell people, and ours says cold pack cheese food. Cold pack cheese food. Again, 51% dairy ingredients. Anything lower than 51%, it's called cheese spread. Now, our spicy beer is cold pack cheese spread. And the reason that is, that it drops below that 51% is because there's more moisture. Not because we added water or anything to cheapen it or lessen it, but what is in beer? There's water, it's moisture. So sometimes the ingredients in the spreads itself have more moisture, causing the moisture to be higher in the quantity that you're getting. So next time anybody goes to the grocery store, take a little gander and find out, see what it says. Does it just say cheese spread? Does it say cold packed cheese spread? Does it say cheese product? Cold packed cheese food, that's what you're really looking for, or cold packed cheese spread. Those are going to be your most cheese in the spread itself. And that's what you want. That's got the most protein, the most calcium, all the good things, and more flavor. Because the more cheese you have, the more flavor is in your mouth. It's just a better product all the way around. So it's always more to learn about cheese spread. That was a product or a spread that my husband really wanted to make. Oh gosh, it's probably 10 years or more. And the secret was to finding a really good aged Asiago, hence the name. It had to have just the right bite and smoothness and sweetness. And he just searched it out and searched it out and searched it out. And he finally got it. And that is probably why it was a first or second place winner at the World Championship Cheese Contest this year. And the only reason it was second is because Jalapeno took first. So yes, aged Asiago. So it's a blend of the Asiago and cheddar. All of our spreads start out with cheddar. That's one thing I probably should tell you. And then as we go along, pepper jack has real pepper jack, and our Swiss almond has real Swiss. Blue cheese has a blue cheese in it. So that's what makes the difference, makes the flavor. So, all right.
So what are you going to pair this with?
Okay, the aged Asiago today, I put it on a wrap. Actually, this is a flatbread with some turkey, some sun-dried turkey, and then just the Asiago. So all I did is I spread it as thick as you want with the Asiago, put a couple pieces of the smoked turkey on there, or the sun-dried turkey. You could also add lettuce, tomato, whatever you wanted, then roll it up. I kind of used a little of the spread as a glue to keep it nice and tight. You could also cut this into little pinwheels. When I went to make these this morning, I didn't have the green spinach ones, which make them even prettier looking, but they still are delicious. Should we eat it?
Wow, that's amazing. You know, wraps make it so simple. You can make these, put them in a little baggie, have them for lunch, have them for snacking. You know, a little leftover turkey and Thanksgiving, a little bit of cranberry in there. So you can really have a lot of fun playing with those.
Cranberry and also scallions is good too. Another thing that I do with the aged Asiago is I've added it to mashed potatoes, or really a hot item that you can buy in the grocery store in the frozen department is that riced cauliflower. I stir some of that in there, and it's a nice side dish. You get your vegetable, and you also get a little more protein. So, yeah, it's good.
I started off with some taste elevated candied oranges and rosemary. I love rosemary with Asiago and cheddar. I think it's really wonderful to be able to work with that. And so, as a cracker base, I decided to go with the Rustic Bakery, their organic sourdoughs. Really, really simple, light, you know, they're organic. And so I just spread a little bit of that on, and then dip in a little bit of the taste elevated rosemary and oranges. Now these are candied oranges, and I think it's really fun to add a little bit of sweetness to this. And so you have the creaminess, obviously, of the cheese is really, I mean, that's just so amazing. And then you have the Asiago flavor, and then a little of the rosemary. And I'm pairing it up with this is a local brew here in Tampa. I do a fair amount of work with them, but This is 610 Brewing, and this is their Lazy Days German Pilsner. So I wanted something that would cleanse the palate on this. I don't want anything that's going to be big and interfere with the flavors. I just want to take a bite and then have it settle in just a little bit with the breadiness and the carbonation.
I wish I was there. That little combo sounds delicious.
The rosemary is absolutely magnificent with this. It just really brings out the Asiago flavor. It brings out a little hint of the cheddar. There's some sweetness. There's some tanginess. It's really well balanced in those. And the Pilsner is just designed to clean the palate, make it really simple.
Right. Another thing I did want to tell you with our spreads, part of their smoothness comes from real butter from Wisconsin. We buy grade A butter, just like the grade A cheddar. And that's why, especially as it warms up, as the cheese sits out, it just gets so smooth, and that nice, you know what's in there. It's what makes it smooth, the butter.
I was watching one of the original videos that you sent me on the manufacturing, and I do believe that I saw something like a 40-pound block of butter going into that vat.
Yep. That's one of the main ingredients is the butter. And we buy that from the local Pine River Dairy, which is just 2 miles up the road from us. And they make great butter. They've won contests with their butter as well. And they might be somebody that you might want to interview someday, Michael, and talk about, because they make a lot of flavored butters as well as just some great butter that we use in the spreads. So they've got a nice little store.
Yeah, I am a huge fan of butter. It shows. So
butter makes it better.
For a lot of the interviews that I've been talking with everybody, we talk a lot about how you support the local community and how you support farmers. And with what you do is that you really cross over a lot of areas. You're being able to take promote the butter production, the farmers that provide the milk for that, the farmers that provide the milk for the cheddar, and that's a tremendous amount of support that you give. So when somebody buys a tub of the spread or the cold cheese, they are supporting a very large group of people that you work with.
There's even one more layer in there is the whey. We use a whey product. So we use cheddar, butter, and whey. Those are the 3 main dairy ingredients that make up our spreads. So there we are, supporting another industry, the whey, the dehydrated whey. So if you like Asiago cheese, you're gonna just love it because it tastes just like Asiago natural cut, but it's just smoother.
It does, and we know somebody that does an Asiago olive oil and rosemary. So taking the rustic bakery, rosemary, and olive oil sourdough crackers or flatbreads, they work beautifully with this. It's kind of just a match made in heaven. Sometimes you just, you want something healthy, you want something to snack on, and that really gives you something that it'll be filling, plus it'll be, magnificent to enjoy. And hopefully you can get at least a couple servings out of this without having a fight with your better half.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
All right.
It's a good, spicy beer. Okay.
All right.
So I was born and raised in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee, which is kind of like the beer capital of Wisconsin. And I don't drink beer, but I love our spicy beer spread. I don't know what it is. And the spice in it is cayenne pepper and garlic. So at first people go, oh, I don't like spice. I don't want to try that. And I always tell them, I don't like beer, and I surely don't like spice. I don't like things that hurt me when I am eating it. But this one, I love. And my favorite thing to eat it on is these nice pretzels you can buy in the frozen department at your grocery store. Heat them up in the microwave. You can heat up the spicy beer spread in the microwave, add a little bit of milk if you want it to be super dippable, and then just make sure you got a lot of those nice salt chunks on your pretzel and dig it into the spread, and then enjoy. I might have to have 2 bites. Now with this, I like to pair it with a nice Diet Coke. That's what I'm gonna have right now, because it tastes so good together. So you'll be hooked if you get these pretzels. But there's nothing like a nice regular pretzel out of a bag that you dip it in as well. That's enjoyable. Another thing I do is I take Progresso Hearty tomato soup. A serving of tomato soup with a serving of the spicy beer, heat it together, stir it up. You look like you're a fancy cook making some sort of fun bisque. It's just so tasty. I don't know, I can't explain it. But that's a lot of times my dinner. So now, what did you have it with, Michael? I'm very curious.
Well, you know, I'm from the Midwest. I grew up in Iowa and moved to Michigan. So this is something that we literally grew up on was beer cheese and pretzels and that. And so one of the things that I did as a kid is we had summer sausage. And
oh yeah.
So I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, well, summer sausage would be fun, but this is such a great spread that I really wanted to up the ante on this. And so what I did was I picked out a Genoa salami. So this is Volpe, and this is an amazing quality of the Genoa. And you can see that it's got a lot of fattiness to it.
Yes.
So this has got so much flavor, but because the beer cheese has got so much, I decided to go with the Brewer's Crackers. And this is everything. And literally, it's everything. It's spent grains that they make this from, and it's rosemary, thyme, garlic, and basil. So, it's just it's literally has just about everything. And what I was afraid of was that the cheese wouldn't be able to stand up with it. And I had no fear of that. The cheese can without any hesitation, stand up to this magnificent richness all here. I don't lose it at all. I have to say that I had to open up a second pack of the Genoa because it is my favorite. I think it reminds me so much of summer sausage, that kind of flavor, and putting these together. And being from Michigan and wanting something a little bit more, or needing something a little bit more robust with this, is I picked Bell's Two-Hearted Ale. And it is an American pale ale, 100% Centennial hops, just a magnificent, rich beer that cuts into everything, but it doesn't take away. It brings it all together.
Nice. I do find with the spicy beer spread that the flavor just almost builds a little bit and just lingers in your mouth. So when it mixes with that sausage, I bet that's amazing. I'm gonna have to try that.
There's a little spiciness with the garlic and the salami. So it kind of brings out more of the cheddar. So you really get that cheddar, but what you really notice, and I think is really cool, that, it didn't dawn on me until you said it, but the butter in this cheese is just so rich. It's magnificent. It's creamy. It's cream butter. So
Yeah.
it's not overwhelming, but with the crackers and all those things, it really blends in really well. And you could really put a really strong IPA or pale ale. You could go Sierra Nevada. You know, this is one where you can have a robust beer, a robust sausage, a robust cracker, and it all stays together. So this is a magnificent, rich, big, bold ability to be able to bring to a party.
Right.
Ah. All right. So what else do you do with beer?
With the spicy beer. Well, you were talking about those nice crackers. It's also just nice on some good bread. I've had it with that. The tomato soup was my go-to for sure. Even just regular chips are nice too with the beer. It just, pretzel rods. Yeah, just give it a try on whatever you think would like a little extra added spice. That's what I would do with the spicy beer.
Yeah, it's magnificent.
The pepper jack. So, pepper jack is made with the pepper jack cheese. And what I like to do is I take it and I put a, pretty good amount on a bun. And then I add my hamburger. And the reason I put it on the bun is that it stays on. If you try to smear it on the burger, it gets kind of slippery, but on the bun, you're all set. Then, of course, got to add a little ketchup. Some mushrooms would be nice too. And then, ready? Just have a bite. It's as if you just put a slice of pepper jack cheese on there. I think I need another bite. I'm going to get closer to the cheese. I'm going to eat the rest of that for dinner. I should have done mushrooms with that. That would be a nice combo.
I think it's important to know that, you're just not opening these up and dipping crackers in them, that you're able to do a lot more with these than just, open up and consume. Even though that I have to say that there's nothing wrong with opening up and consuming them. I didn't have any trouble with that already.
No. Well, the box of wheat thins, you'll be all set. So
I've been a huge fan of their horseradish for years, and you were kind enough to send 2 of them along with this, and I have to say that they're both consumed. They are a single serving. I can't help myself with that. It's just amazing.
Now you talk about summer sausage. The summer sausage horseradish sandwich can't be beat. Try that. I want to hear what you think about a summer sausage horseradish sandwich. That is delicious. Horseradish has so many uses. I put it in mashed potatoes. I put it in macaroni and cheese. I've put it in a Bloody Mary. I've also put it on a platter, put some cocktail sauce and those little shrimps, and you have a shrimp dip. I've stirred it with ketchup and used it as a sauce for shrimp. What else did I do with it? It's good on hot dogs. Put that on the bun, put your hot dog on there. The other recipe that's really delicious is a sweet potato cracker, a dabble of horseradish, some smoked salmon, and a caper. Mwah! It's delicious. You're gonna have to go and buy all those ingredients and try it because it's so good. So, wow. Tell me what you did with it. Well, you already did. You you just ate it. You don't even have any to taste. So you ate them all.
Well, surprised on how spicy the pepper jack is. It was a little more spicy than what I'm used to, because a lot of those pepper jacks that you buy are, don't take this the wrong way, but they're weenie and they're wimpy, and they don't have that real rich flavor. There's real peppers in here. This is authentic pepper jack. You know, there's no messing around with this one. So when I tried it, and then I was comparing it against the jalapeno, you know, there's a lot of similarity between those two. And I was really kind of surprised on how much that I got out of that. So with this, I decided that I would go with a sweet peach, and yeah, because I was afraid of not afraid. I was concerned that the spiciness would come up so much that I really wanted to kind of tone that down just a little bit. So I thought that a sweet peach would work really well. And I used that again on one of the regular crackers. So
are you talking a jam or an actual slice of a peach?
This is Virginia chutney. So it's a sweet peach chutney.
Okay.
And so I decided to go with that because, again, it adds a little bit of sweetness to it. And that sweetness kind of helps tone things down. And there's just a hint of apple cider vinegar in here to give it a little bit of a kick. So you get a little bit of a kick, but it also helps kind of sweeten out, balance out a little bit of those peppers. And then I'm actually pairing the next two together with a cider, because I really wanted to bring in some sweetness, apple, you know, to be able to kind of cool those heats down. And I really like the way ciders work. And this is Gypsy Circus cider out of Tennessee. And this is their Lotus Dreamer. And it's just a really great, easy cider that goes well with all these flavors.
Another thing I do with the pepper jack is I put it in scrambled eggs. Gives that a little zip. Oh,
I could see that.
I'm gonna have to try that with the chutney. That sounds really great.
It helps. I'm not a wimp when it comes to spices. I love them, but I think that what I love about them is the spiciness, but not as much of the heat. So the sweet peach leaves all of the spiciness there, but takes a little bit of that heat away. Now, originally I thought about, because we're going to be coming up to the ghost pepper, I thought, you know, maybe all that sweetness there will help it.
Well, we'll see. The pepper jack is also a nice item to use on a wrap sandwich. Picture that with some turkey, maybe ham, roast beef even is nice. So
yeah, that slices that you get at the deli or at some of the fast food places, they know nothing about the spiciness here. This is authentic. This is real. These are the most intense, rich, balanced, great flavors that you can have in a pepper jack. This is what pepper jack should be, and I really love that. It's just amazing. And I would have never, I guess I probably would have never thought that you would get this much rich flavor from a cold pack, from a spread that this works with. That, you know, I thought, well, you know, it'd really be out of a singular specialty cheese, you know, that somebody's, you know, spending $12, $20 a pound on. This beats them all.
Right. Well, thank you.
I can
That
see
I
why it won
that's
so many awards.
yeah. That's well. I think that's part of the uniqueness of Pine River spreads is the flavors are really there. They don't just dissipate on your tongue when you eat them. You get that flavor builds in your mouth, and that creamy cheesy flavor stays with you. And whatever flavor it is, you get that. So the beer, like with the spicy beer, you get some spice, but you also get the little notes of the beer at the end. Like you just said with the pepper jack, it tastes like a piece of pepper jack cheese that you'd buy at a nice specialty cheese shop. It's got that really rich flavor. And same thing with the Asiago. And I guess that's something we strive to do, and we're been pretty successful with it as the judges tell us at those contests. They say, this is good stuff. It tastes real. Because it is real. It's real cheese.
You know, I've always, back in 2012, I was a judge at the World Cheese Awards in London. And on our table, we had this, what looked like some sort of pepper jack, but it was bigger chunks of peppers and all that. We saved it to the end. And it was the most intense pepper jack I've ever had. As a matter of fact, I think I'm still tasting it from 2012. Unbalanced completely, where this is balanced. This is what you want from a pepper jack. You don't want the flavors. And I've said this before, you know, the art of blending cheese with flavors isn't about having it dominate by that flavor. In other words, this isn't just pepper jack. This is also jack. You can really taste the flavors of the cheese, of the butter. All these things are still there. They're not lost. It's not like you're eating the peppers. You're eating everything, and it comes right there. You know, this is all of these so far. You could just eat with a spoon and be happy.
I've seen it. I've been at trade shows and people have taken one and eaten it with a spoon, and that's really gratifying. It means it tastes great on its own. Yeah, that's funny. Oh boy. Pepper jack would also be another one to put in mashed potatoes. I don't know if you thought of that, or a baked potato. A roast beef sandwich would probably be pretty good. Wherever you would throw a piece of pepper jack cheese on, just spread a little of the spread on, and you will have that nice flavor combination. So.
Okay.
The jalapeno. Jalapeno has been one of our flavors for a lot of years. I again took it and warmed it up in the microwave a little bit. You can warm it up just as it is or add a little milk. That's always good. And I just have a nice tortilla chip. Dip that in. I can't double dip, can I? Well, I can for me. That always reminds me of being out at a restaurant having nachos or something. So then I need to have a glass of wine. I'm not a super connoisseur of wine. I like a nice Riesling with everything. But the jalapeno, it's a nice, even though I'm at home, I feel like I'm out somewhere fun. Now the jalapeno, that is, we have, I would say that's our lowest spicy. We have a hot habanero, and then Michael did talk about the ghost pepper that we're saving after we enjoy this, because we're gonna enjoy this. Jalapeno is nice on, throw it in your chili. I've also put it in meatloaf, kind of mix it in when you're mixing with your other ingredients, eggs and breads and, you know, whatever you add to your meatloaf, throw some jalapeno in there for a little extra flavor. Or even take meatballs and put a dollop of jalapeno in the center, and put your meatball around it, and then you'll get that gooey, yummy flavor, just either as an appetizer or in your favorite sauce. What else do we put it on? It's good on a sandwich. I've put it with turkey. I like to put turkey with a lot of our cheese spreads. Just elevates it. And I'm always about adding extra protein and extra calcium. So what did you have it with, Michael?
Well, again, you know, you're working with another level of the heat, and you know the balance is so amazing. I think what the amount of butter that you put in here really kind of balances out that you do have some heat, and that's important because it is jalapeno, and you really want that. But you also have the delicious spiciness of the jalapenos. And I think that a lot of people are afraid of that because they may have been, you know, singed, burnt by them in the past because of the intensity of that. And it's really nice to be able to taste the flavor of the jalapeno with some spiciness, but not so spicy that you can't taste the jalapeno. And again, that's where your balance on these are really amazing. So I decided that you got to add more sweetness to this. And so one of my favorite is Effie's homemade nut cakes, or this is actually a corn cake, because you know, you think of a corn tortilla and the jalapenos and all of that, but there's some sweetness there. There's no funny stuff in here. And then I decided to use a fruit paste, and this is Rutherford and Meyer, their quince paste. And so I wanted something that would have no sugar. In other words, it's just fruit. There's no other things that are in that. So with the jalapeno spread on the corn cake, and then a little bit of the quince paste, which, you know, quince paste tastes, a lot of people say it's like apricot, you know, but I think it's like apricot on steroids. You know, it's got some really rich flavors to it. And of course, I'm staying with the Gypsy Cider Circus, their Lotus Dreamer, which is, by the way, it's an orange blossom flowered cider. So it's got the oranges in it. I got the quince paste. I got a corn cake and jalapeno spread.
That sounds really good, that corn bread.
Oh, spicy, but not, you know, over the top. The sweetness kind of settles things in there just a little bit. So if you're not a big fan of heat, this takes all the heat away. That's not always a good thing, but for me, after still tasting the ghost peppers from earlier, this is all right, you know. I'm okay with that. And you know, the cider sweetness is just enough. There's some citrus, you know, acidity in there to clean. Does a great job of it. And you know, I thought about, there was, you know, Rutherford Meyer does like plum and you know, pear and all of that. And I was trying to decide on which one would actually go with the jalapeno. And that's when I went with the quince, because the sweetness of an apricot, and it's almost like a little bit closer to the core, you know, and so it's got just a hint of bitterness, which works wonderful with all.
I have to try that in my next little gathering. Interesting. Yeah, I've always just been so happy with it with the chips. That's what we've been doing. It is nice to stir into your taco meat. You know, like if you're making tacos, stir some jalapeno cheese spread in there, and then you've already got, you don't even have to add cheese on top because you've got that cheesy flavor already in it with a little extra flavor. So, yeah, wherever you want to add a little more zip, jalapeno works great, but it doesn't hurt you. Like Michael said, the balance is there, and it just tastes good. It adds a lot of nice flavor. Scrambled eggs, that's another good jalapeno one.
It does.
Our next cheese is ghost pepper. And the best thing to do for that is pair it with this right here. you want to, is a fire extinguisher, because it is hot. And I'm talking so hot that I can't eat it. But there are people that love it. So I know, Michael, you tasted it because you're a great cheese guy. I'll try to put a little bit on my tongue, guys, but I know jalapeno and spicy beer are usually my limit, but I'll do this for the good of the show. How about that? Ready? I really should have my glass of milk left, or a glass of milk can take it down, or the Asiago can also cool it down. Or a nice cheddar chaser is good too, some cheddar spread. So, I mean, I have the itty bittiest amount on my knife, as you can see. Yeah. The thing about ghost pepper, and the reason it's called that, is it sneaks up on you. So I have folks at trade shows that say, it's not that bad. And within 30 seconds, it grows. It sneaks up on you like a ghost. And then they say, oh, there it is. So, yeah, I got to bring out the Riesling for that. Pairing it, oh gosh. We have a restaurant in Milwaukee that puts it on a beef sandwich, like a roast beef, and they sell a ton of it. So it's it enhances whatever you put it with and brings it to a new level. So Michael, are you there still? Gonna try it?
I'm fine. You know, it's one of those things where I think that if you're not a big fan of ghost pepper, you don't need a lot. In other words, this container will last you a millennium, because it is, I spread it just very, very thin, just a little bit of coating, and I put it on the everything brewer's cracker, you know, because it's got all those flavors in there. And so what it's going to do is it's just going to kick it up. But again, I just touched it just a little bit on here because I didn't want it to be, you know, this big flavor profile. So typically, you know, I thought about maybe a milk stout, something like that. But, you know, after tasting it, 100% whole
milk.
cow's milk is just going to be my savior after this little bite.
I truly have had people put it on a cracker 1.5 inches thick and just have no problem just eating it and enjoying it and asking for another. So it's just what tolerance your taste buds have, I guess.
Well, you know, one of the things that I just love about these flavors is that you get the flavors. You're not just tasting a cheese with stuff that's just overpowering. It's a balance of that. You really, you know, it's like the pepper jack. That's the best pepper jack I've ever had. And it's because the flavors are there. You taste all of the peppers in there. And it's just so rich. It's as if you just freshly cut them up and then mixed them into the spread, and it's that well. So there's only one other thing that I can do to kind of help out on the on that, a little bit of Knob Creek bourbon, and
Yum.
that you know, numbs out a little bit of the burn.
I mean, that little itty bit I put on my tongue is still hurting.
Well,
here's to you and the ghost pepper.
a little bourbon, yeah, a cure-all. I found that it works for a lot of things.
Yes, people. It becomes a novelty to bring to parties, and people challenge their friends. But there are truly people that love it, and hot cheeses are hot. scorpion and there's another really hot one out there. I mean, we go to a trade show and they're just like, oh, yeah, that's not even the hottest Scoville value anymore. It's just, I always am shocked and say, really? There's something hotter than this? And someone eats it? But yes, and then there's people say, oh, I even grow my own ghost peppers and I love it. And they do. But it's funny, the reaction. I've seen people turn pink, like it just starts in their throat, works up to their ears, gets to the top of their head. And I've seen people just burst out in sweat beads. I've seen people hiccup. I've seen people start coughing and run for the nearest bottle of water. It's funny how the reaction is crazy. And so people say, butter me another cracker. That was delicious. So I don't know. I just don't know, but we've got it.
I do have to say that going back to the Asiago and the large amount that I just consumed was absolutely fabulous. It's now a spicy Asiago, but it's really good. You know, I have to commend you for the high quality of these cheeses, the blending. It's really well done, and it's very, very enjoyable. I have no qualms about sharing this with some snobby cheese friends that, you know, are like, I only eat this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know, when you have a quality product like this, it's so nice to be able to sit back and enjoy this. When we finish here, I'm moving this little party over to the next room where it's my den, where we're gonna sit down and we'll probably leave the ghost pepper here, but everything else will be certainly, it might actually be dinner tonight with the wraps, because I got some chicken. I got some fried chicken that I could just, you know, break up from the breast and do some wraps with this pepper jack because, oh yeah, yeah.
I've added the pepper jack to macaroni and cheese too. And Asiago goes great in mac and cheese. And I'm talking, you just buy the single serve Kraft or whatever brand you want. I hope that's okay to say a brand. The microwavable mac and cheese, make it. I even add their powdered cheese that goes with it, and then I put our cheese in it, and then smear, you know, stir it up. Oh, it just becomes an elevated, rich side dish. Yeah, it's good. I do want to thank Wisconsin, or the dairy farmers of Wisconsin. They do an awesome job helping us cheesemakers to get our product out there and tell people about dairy and cheese and all that. They do a great job. I also want to thank our Wisconsin farmers, because without them, we wouldn't have the good milk that goes into that great cheese, and great cheese is what makes great cheese spread. And then finally, I really, really, really have to thank our staff, because without their dedicated service every day to do the best job they can to make the best cheese in the world, like we did make this year, it wouldn't happen. Everybody does their part. It takes a team to make it. There's not just one cheesemaker or one person that does all the mixing or flavors. We all work together, and it's really a great thing to be a part of that. I am going to be with Pine River, 40 years this fall, and it's been delightful. So I appreciate your time letting me talk, and I just hope everybody knows, spread beyond the cracker. Try it all different ways. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to thank you for coming in and sharing this with us and telling us the stories and bringing all these great cheeses. And people can go to your website and be able to order. I know that there's a little hiccup on shipping right now.
Right.
Seems to be some protests going on and having some trouble getting through the city and all that. So people just be, bear with it. But thank you for bringing all these here and all the great cheeses that you've done in the past, and keep doing that. So it's very rewarding for all of us here. So
I have one fun little story about my son. So growing up in the business, he went off to college, and well, these fit really nicely in a college dorm refrigerator. So of course we sent a lot with him. It adds to the food budget, you know, we can just have that for a snack or whatever. And about mid-October, he called up and he says, Mom, I need some more of that cheese spread. You know, my friends think it's the greatest, and it isn't half bad. So they now have an appreciation of our cheese spread, even though they grew up eating it all the time. So, and our grandkids are big fans of it. But it's just funny how he had to go away and say, "Wow, it's pretty good stuff."
Yeah,
So,
I think that happens to a lot of people that work in the business. It's like, oh yeah, that's what I grew up on, and yeah, it's
yeah,
you know, vineyards are the same way, you know, so
exactly.
a little different.
Yeah.
All
But
right, Mary, thank you
yeah.
so much for coming in and being able to spend some time with us. Thank you, and let everybody know how much we appreciate what they're doing. Be safe, and
Yeah. Yep. And hopefully next year everything is back and we can be in person and we can bow to each other, because we won't be able to hug or shake hands for a while, I think, but we can always eat cheese. So
that's right.
there you go.
All right.
All right,
Maybe I'll
Michael.
see you in San Francisco in January.
I plan to be there. If all is if it's a go, we'll go. So
I know. They called me today. You going? I said, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
I think we'll be okay. We've got lots of smart people out there working really hard to get us back and running.
Well, I suggested that with our packs and our badges that they give us a face mask, but they have really fun sayings on them. So they have like 10 different ones. So everybody's got something a little different. So if you see that, that was my idea.
Oh, look, awesome. Okay.
All right.
Well, enjoy your happy hour with your
Thank
cheese
you.
spread.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll talk soon. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Take care. Yep.
Bye. Thank you again for watching Cheese in Depth. I'm Michael Landis, and today's webinar was sponsored by the good folks at Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin. Take care. Be safe. Wash your hands.